Okay, okay, we're recording. This is true story number two. And this gets even crazier. You guys, and this is the thing too, is the more honest I am in these videos, the more it's gonna make sense. But this gets into some science fiction, X-Files kind of stuff here. And I guess you just have to watch the video and take it with a grain of salt, take it with skepticism. But I'm telling you, this is legitimately how all this played out. But it'll also explain why, how maybe I could have gotten involved with something that I didn't realize was going to happen to me in the future. The first part of it, I guess, is when I wasn't the first part of this. I wasn't smoking pot. There was no psychotropics or anything like that. It was just me getting out of the shower, um, and I was naked. I was looking in the mirror, and I had brushed a birthmark that I have on my stomach. And then this weird like tingling sensation came over my body, and then it kind of went in this area. It was really, really the strangest feeling I ever had. It was like kind of tingles and stuff. But then I was looking in the mirror, and the birthmark was. I had all this strange sensation. And what happened was I looked in the mirror, and the birthmark. I started to see like this. It's hard to describe. Like it was like the pixelation of my skin kind of came to the surface. You guys, it's hard to describe. You guys won't believe me, but when you listen to the rest of the story, you might believe me. Um, but it's kind of like pixelation bubble the surface, and then I swear to you, this is what it looked like, and it didn't make sense. It looked like kind of a landscape with mountains. There's tree. It was kind of small, but it was also detailed, like really detailed, like a landscape for some reason with mountains in it. And I looked in the mirror. I was like, that was a really weird thing, but in my mind, that's what I saw visually, and I was expressing what I saw, and man, this is um, it was crazy anyway. And I never told anybody about that. I never really did. I thought it was just one of those things. I was like, okay, Chad, you got a great imagination. You probably, I'm even a skeptic of myself. And I was like, you probably made that up, whatever. So then to kind of add to the story, I went out. I can't remember how long after that, but I went out to a bar. It was a gay bar, and there's I don't know if I had knowledge. This kind of gets that. This part gets the science fiction part where I heard of the white hats, and these were like these super cool, supposed to be these really cool people in government that were trying to do the right thing, that see corruption kind of making something better for people in the future. That's the way I interpret it anyway. Like they're kind of the heroes. But anyway, so that's just a part of like the science fiction part. But I had met a guy who was wearing a white hat, and he always wears a white hat when I see him out there. So it's just kind of just extra connotation. But baseball hat cap. Anyway, so I met this guy. Um, um, Older gentleman, he looked much younger. We had some drinks, enjoyed the company, and this gets really crazy for me to be sharing this online, but I'm already done, guys, because the more I'm honest and the more I talk to the camera and be honest, I think people will be like, they'll look into this story and be like, I don't know what's going on with your life, but this is valuable. It's interesting stuff. But so what had happened is, it was a bunch of his friends and everybody. We were sitting in the kitchen, we were talking, chatting. It was really cool. There's different people. We were smoking bowls and everything, a pot. And then we kind of retired for the night. I retired with him. This is kind of like a hookup story, sort of, but I met him again later. Too, and anyway, um, but yeah, man, this is crazy for me to be this honest and open. Especially if this story starts to pick up, I'm going to be like, man, is this something I should have shared? I don't know, but it's still important. Um, what ended up happening is the second time I saw him, what I'm about to explain to you, this phenomenon. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, man. I didn't report you to the FBI." And I was like, "Why would you report me to the FBI?" And then I got paranoid about this, but in a world where it's about. So, anyways, we smoked and it was getting hot and heavy in the bedroom, and I'm one of those people in a world of sexuality and control and losing. There's a thing about losing control. I finally, for the first time, kind of got into this role playing with just letting go of control. And it was amazing. It was powerful. It was just like powerful, role playing with, having somebody take full control of and playing along to it. And it was hot. It was amazing. We had smoked, and then afterwards, it was, the basic, sitting there. Well, I guess, and two things happen. Two, when you're cuddling and just having conversations, just talking about stuff, that's a thing people do. Well, instead of, that have respect for each other, and um, one thing happened. He was on his back, and I was just, massaging his back, up and down the back and shoulders, and then he's like, "What?" And he turned back. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just massaging." I was just kind of like, "Whoa, I'm just massaging." He's like, "Well, it feels good. It just feels really, really, really different." And then um, people always describe it as it feels like magnets, like my fingers are like magnets or something. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I explained it. He's like, "It feels good. It's just really different." And then but I kept doing it. I kept doing it, and I thought it was okay. And then he just like did this military move where he's like, woof, and he turned around and grabbed my arm. And he's like, man, he grabbed my arm, right? And he's like, I thought it felt like you had a taser and were like tasing uh, my back or whatever. And that was so bizarre for me I was like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? I didn't know how to explain that. And he legitimately like did this military move, and it was kind of hot. It was kind of cool. But um, and then so I kind of stopped doing that, and it confused me. But the other part of this, that's not the weird part of this whole story, actually, um, is going back. So, and I can't remember which happened first, that or this part. I don't know which happened first, to be honest. Um, but what happened was we were talking, he was kind of like this over, and, just massaging my chest, and then he brushed my birthmark, right? And the same thing happened. He was looking, the energy came, that tingling sensation. He was looking, and he was like, "Whoa!" He's like, "I'm freaking out. He's like, yo, I'm freaking out." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "It just looked like," and he was looking at my skin. He's like, "It looked like something, I don't know, a landscape or something. I'm wigging out here." And he said the word landscape, and in my mind, I'm like, did he just say what I didn't say about this thing that happened before? And I should have like, it's my point. Like, I should have been like, no, what exactly did you see? Because that's exactly how I described it in my mind, what I saw. Um, and and so that was really confusing for me. So it was strange and awkward for both of us. But we um, I ended up, the energy was still good with him and everything. Again, like I said, the next time I saw him, he was like, "Man, don't worry, I didn't report you to the FBI." And I was like, "Why would you report me to the FBI? Because I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know what that, please don't. And you probably have. And if you did, and I got pulled into this, it's not really sucks for me, without me having any knowledge of like why I would get pulled into something. And that's like some um, and you'll see later, like this kind of topic started to come up in this community of super soldiers and technology and aliens and all this other stuff about doppelgangers and transformative. What was the word? Um, what do you call it? People that like in science fiction where you have they morphing into different things or different anyway. And that's kind of what it would seem is my skin kind of morphed, and there's no other way to describe it. I still, the birthmark is, of course, I have this birthmark, and it hasn't really happened since. And but it's still one of those things, and the energy is still there with that person, and even me, it's my responsibility to be like, "Listen, man," and that's on my part. I should still go up to him and be like, "Hey, do you remember?" Because this was years ago, and I've seen him. We've gotten together after that too. I think twice, but it's my responsibility to be like, listen, man, did you actually ever tell anybody about what happened? Because that was weird for both of us, and that's probably something you told your friends. And even if you don't realize you didn't report it, if somebody is in government or something, they probably would be like, okay, who is this guy? What's his name? I'm interested or I'm curious. And then, but anyway, so it's kind of my responsibility to ask those people, like, listen, did you ever actually say anything? Because I could, like, anyway. Um, so that's the and but it still goes into the story too. When we're in a world of world domination and enslavement and slavery and all this other stuff, it still gets into that connotation of um, um, something transformative happening when you let go of control in a sexual way and a sexual desire and enjoying that and having that be an exciting part of your character. So it really does. This story is relevant to that, and especially when it gets into the government, science fiction, um, secret agents, and all this other stuff, and it just gets very interesting. And so this is another part of myself that I probably shouldn't be sharing, because if I'm complaining that it wasn't reported and then it started to catch on, I'd be like, oh crap. I should have shared that, but I don't care right now. I don't, the government, especially with, yeah, you think of the monarch, there's no reason, and the reason that happened is because I was completely free, and it was a moment of freedom and letting go. So you can't, anybody that wants to interrogate or say what happened, what is this about, blah blah, or want to interrogate, like, you're not gonna get the answers by doing the complete opposite. You got to let a man be free and speak his mind, and you can't put somebody under pressure and expect the results that you expect because you want to control the situation. And so that's what I'm talking about here, guys. You can't get the result that you're looking for by doing the opposite and putting somebody through tests or anyway, like. Uh, so anyway, this is a real story number two, true story number two, and it just gets better and better. Um, but it's important, especially in the gay community. In the gay community, I really wish, like, there's something really sexy about this story about letting go, or we go about top or bottom versus whatever, people assuming one role, but really they desire another role, or people that want to control, want to be the submissive type of person, or the submissive person wants to be the dominant kind of person, and me myself is always kind of somewhere in between and enjoying that part of sexuality. Um, Me personally, I can't stand somebody that says, "Oh, they're one thing or the other." Explore everything, man. If something was uncomfortable for you before, it's probably because you weren't with the right person to kind of ease you in, to make you feel comfortable with the other position, and explore further in your sexuality. And this gets into more later, being kind of raw, uncut about sexuality in the gay community. And then it just goes up into a whole nother level too when it gets into government and this world. So um, but anyway, so this is a story, and I'm gonna keep sharing. And this is um, people are too afraid to face these kind of topics and face these kind of situations, and like be a ball buster to facing those issues that make people uncomfortable. And I'm this shy, coy, quiet guy. So I pack a whole lot of energy inside of me. I'm a creative, sexually experimental and creatively experimental, and I hold that energy inside of me. So when there's that point of letting go of control and just enjoying that moment and having a reaction like that, it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty significant, and I don't know what that means, but it's part of my life and it's part of my story. So much love, everybody. Peace.